Yeah, how are you? How?
I'm good. I'm good. Just another day of picketing, another day of strike. So it's been a crazy couple weeks. So
Yeah, as I read about this strike, it happens because writers want to receive more money for their work, and so GPT chat use like less in work.
yeah, it's not. I guess it's not necessarily more money is I guess technical the correct term, but I think it's more so we see it as getting our fair share, considering the amount of revenue that we bring in as creators for all of these major multi conglomerate networks and studios and companies. We're asking for just a percent of a percent an increase to keep up with the changing times. 30 years ago, when there was no such thing as streaming and there was no such thing as the internet and as far as television and whatnot goes, it was a lot more money coming in and going out, and people were being compensated incredibly. And now there's been a pinch because of the technology and because of all of the product that's been out, that it's just become hard for us to survive out here. So
Yeah, I understand, but what do you think? Why it's happened now? Like, why it doesn't happen half a year ago? Or
sure, sure. We have what's called an MBA, right? It's a basic agreement that we sign with the studios network. So our the Writers Guild of America, West and East, go into contract with the people that are in charge of negotiating with the studios and networks, right? The AMPTP. And that, like any contract, it's for a 3 year or 6 year or 5 year or 7 year span. And then after the contract is up, you renegotiate. It's kind of like if you think of, Lionel Messi, right? Or Cristiano Ronaldo or Lewandowski, right? Like if you have any of these famous soccer players, they have a contract for 2 or 3 years. They play their contract and then they go see what they're worth. And their team can choose to keep them. Usually you get paid more, right? If you get a renewal on the contract, you get more, or I'm going to go play for this other team. And so every 3, 6, 5, 8 years, whenever our different contracts go up, we renegotiate. And so this time around, we wanted to renegotiate because it's been 14 years since our last strike, and we wanted to
yeah.
make sure that we were getting paid fairly all of the money that comes in through streaming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And as you said, like the last strike was in 2007, if I'm not
2007, yeah.
mistaken. Yeah. And it lasts 100 days.
100 days, and we are on day
Yeah.
15, I think, or 16 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like 15 days. And what do you think how long it can happen this time?
Oh goodness, that's a good question. It'll take as long as it needs to take. Do I want to get back to work? Absolutely. I was in the middle of a show. I was in the middle of a big show for Amazon. We were 10 weeks into the room. We were going great. Everything was fantastic. And then I had to close my office. I had to pack up my office. That's why my home office is such a mess, because I haven't been, working in so long. But yeah, I want to get back to work. Want to continue to make money. I want to take care of my family. I want to make this an awesome show, but we have to make sure that it's fair for everyone. And to be clear, and I've said this before, it's not all about me, and it's not all about the older writers that exist in Hollywood. It's all about the people of your generation, the younger writers that are coming in, that 10, 15 years ago you could move to LA with this much money and make it work, and like work hard and try to become a writer or an actor or a musician or anything like that. Now it's impossible because rents out here are 3, 4, 5, 6 times more as they were 15 years ago, even. And so it's setting the foundation so that the younger generation of writers can actually continue to be creatives in this world, can continue to follow their dreams, can continue to take that chance, and not just start at an impossible starting line where they just can't do it. It's impossible. So that's the main goal. It's fairness through unity, and to making sure that the younger generation are set up for success.
Hmm. Okay, and as you mentioned, like new generation, new writers who will come to this industry, do you think this problem will solve, or it's always will appear again and again?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know how old your folks are, or but my folks are, well, my father's passed away, but when he was my age, or even your age, you could buy a house in America for, working at McDonald's, right? That, for an example. You can't do that anymore, right? It's impossible. And maybe in the whole world you can't do that, right? But back then you could make minimum wage and still survive. So I don't know if it's going to happen again. I can't negotiate on the fear that it's going to happen in 5, 6, 7 years. All I can negotiate on is what we know now and what we can do to make things better for the generations that are coming that we know best. 15 years ago in the last strike, the writers that were, uh, my age or younger, that went on strike, they were fighting for something called streaming. Nobody knew what streaming was, and the networks and studios were like, oh, it's just a fad. It's just going to be like, it's like YouTube. It'll never be anything big. But they were like, no, no, we think it could be something really big. We have to negotiate on what we know right now. And we want to get a piece of that for the writers. And they got a little piece. Imagine if they had gotten nothing. The majority of television now is online, right? Like nobody watches networks anymore. Netflix, HBO, Disney, Paramount, like that's what people watch now. So it's negotiating in the best faith of what we know now. Is the economy going to be shit in 5 years? I don't know, maybe, probably, who knows? It goes like this, right? Depending on what embarrassment we elect to the White House. So it's we're doing our best in our industry to help support and help make the pathway easier for those that come after us.
Okay. And maybe the last question is how it's going in real life, because in videos posts I saw that it's going in New York and Los Angeles,
Hmm.
next to the building of Netflix.
Yeah,
And how much people is there? How, like, it's every day the
every day,
strikes or
every day. So we have to pick it. Um, each individual member is asked. It's not like they're knocking down my door if I can't make it, but it's 4 hours a day. And there's two
Mhm.
shifts typically, 9 to 1 p.m., 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So it's 8 hours a day, nonstop picketing. I have been to locations, Netflix, Disney, Universal, Paramount. We have them at Sony, we have them at Fox, we have them at Amazon, we have them all over the place. There have been some days where there have been over 1,000 people picketing, and there have been some times where there's only been 70 to 100. But the thing about picketing is, as long as there's one, people won't cross the line. And
Mhm.
that's what happens with the Teamsters and with the DGA and with IATSE and with all these other unions of other trade workers in our industry that have joined us in solidarity. If we are at a gate picketing with one picket, a big truck coming through that's being driven by an IATSE driver, or a Teamster driver, can't go in because one person is there with a picket.
Mhm.
That's called crossing the line. And so they will not. So we have one person there at 6 in the morning and a truck with all the supplies for this episode of television for this whatever show, it has to turn around and go back. And so that's how we're able to stop production. That's how we're picketing. We're not picketing just for fun, obviously for show, but we're picketing all the gates at all the studios,
Mhm.
and nobody can cross in with anything in order to make shows. We're doing the same with locations. Sometimes TV shows and don't shoot, in studios, they'll shoot on
Yeah.
location somewhere. We're also using our connections to find out where these shoots are, and we're showing up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning before they start, and we have effectively shut down a lot of productions in the last 3 weeks, and we plan to continue to do so. So we want to make sure that we are able to create these moments of happiness, of this escapism of art that I think civilization is marked on. Without art, we're just
Yeah.
right. So we're doing the best we can in order to continue to provide these stories that hopefully will enrich and inspire, while people suffer in other parts of the world, and kind of look to us and look to other creatives in Europe and in Africa and South America and everything, like, and kind of can hopefully get some happiness out of that. And that's all we do. We're here to tell stories and here to continue to do so. We just want to be able to pay our rent while we do it. That's pretty much it. So
Yeah, of course, like movie industry become our part of lives,
yeah,
and it's really important to know that people get enough for their work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are there is people who against this strike, like
You
on
know,
the streets?
last yeah, last time around, there were some, and then even we actually had a small, not with the studios, but we had a big issue with our agencies about 4 years ago, which was similar, which we were actually we had to fire all of our agents because of a whole other issue, which we don't have to get into. And there was a lot of dissension. A lot of people were like, I don't want to fire my agent. I want to continue to work. This time around, I don't know if you saw, 98% of our union voted to authorize a strike.
Mm,
That's crazy. That's unbelievable as far as solidarity goes. I haven't met an actual working writer that's been complaining about the strike. I've seen people online that, aren't in the industry that are like, "Oh, just suck it up. Don't be such babies, go work." And it's like
mhm.
you have no idea what we're trying to do here. So, thanks, but stay out of it, So
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for this interview.